The hidden sun, finding light when life grows dark. There are moments in every man's life when the world feels colder than it should. When the laughter fades, the plans crumble, and even the sound of your own breathing feels heavier than before. That's when it happens, the slow descent into darkness. Not the kind you see, but the kind you feel. The kind that doesn't come from the absence of light, but from the weight of your own thoughts. He had reached that place, not through tragedy, but through exhaustion. He had given everything he had to the world, his time, his effort, his care, and somehow, it still didn't feel enough. He was surrounded by people, yet felt completely unseen. He smiled, but the smile was hollow. He kept moving, but each step echoed with a question he didn't want to face. What's the point anymore? It's a dangerous question. Quiet, gentle, but powerful enough to shake a man's foundation. That's when life tests you, not with loud disasters, but with silence. He began to feel the cold, not around him, but within. The fire that once drove him began to fade. The world that once felt full of opportunity now seemed indifferent. And in that stillness, he realized something terrifying. He wasn't afraid of failing. He was afraid of no longer feeling. One night, while the city slept, he went outside. The sky was covered in thick clouds, the kind that swallow the moon whole. No stars, no light, just darkness, stretching endlessly above. He looked up and thought, the sun's still there. I just can't see it. And for the first time in a long time, that thought made him pause. Because maybe that's what life is like. The light doesn't disappear, it just hides. And maybe his task wasn't to chase it, but to remember it still existed. The next morning, he woke before dawn. No reason, no motivation, just habit. He brewed his coffee and sat in the same chair by the window, staring at the gray horizon. He felt empty, but in that emptiness, something small stirred. It wasn't joy, it wasn't hope, it was something quieter, something like acceptance. He realized he didn't need the world to make sense right now. He just needed to sit in it, to let it be what it was, dark, cold, uncertain, without running from it. Because every time he ran, he ended up in the same place again. Maybe the way out wasn't forward. Maybe it was through. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Look well into yourself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if you will always look." Those words echoed in his mind as he began to rebuild his mornings, quietly, deliberately. He stopped trying to fix everything at once. He focused on what he could control. His breath, his posture, his thoughts. He started writing again. Not for anyone else, but to empty the noise inside his head. Some days the words came easily. Other days, they didn't come at all. But he showed up anyway. Because that's what strength really is. Not perfection, but persistence. There were still bad days. Days when the fog returned, heavy and suffocating. Days when he questioned his purpose again. But something was different this time. He didn't run from the darkness. He sat with it. He observed it, like a student studying a storm. He realized that pain had lessons, if you were calm enough to listen. It teaches patience. It teaches humility. It teaches you to stop chasing light and start becoming it. Weeks passed, then months. The world around him didn't change much, but he did. He started to see beauty again. Not in grand things, but in the quiet ones. The way sunlight hit a cracked wall. The sound of rain on an empty street. The simple peace of finishing something small. He began to understand what the Stoics meant when they said, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts." The world wasn't cruel, it was indifferent, and that indifference gave him freedom, the freedom to shape meaning where none was given. One evening, he walked by the ocean, a place he used to visit when he felt lost. The waves crashed hard, the sky still gray. He stood there, hands in his pockets, watching the endless rhythm of water meeting rock. And then it hit him, the realization that every wave, no matter how violent, eventually returns to calm. Every storm, no matter how fierce, eventually passes. The sun doesn't fight to shine, it simply waits. And so should he. That night, he wrote in his journal, "You cannot rush healing. You cannot command peace. You can only remain steady until it finds you again." He had stopped demanding answers from life, stopped expecting constant happiness. Instead, he learned to respect the cycles of joy, pain, light, and dark. And in doing so, he found something he hadn't felt in a long time, gratitude. Not for what was easy, but for what had shaped him. Sometimes, he still felt the darkness. But now he understood, it wasn't punishment. It was perspective. Because without the night, you'd never appreciate the morning. Without loss, you'd never understand the depth of love. Without struggle, you'd never recognize peace. The sun, he realized, had never left him. It was inside him all along, hidden beneath fear, pride, and noise. He had just forgotten how to look for it. Now, when people ask how he stayed strong, he smiles quietly. Because strength isn't loud, it's built in silence, in the hours no one sees, the battles no one praises. He doesn't speak of his pain often, because he knows everyone carries their own. But he carries himself differently now, calmer, softer, clearer. The storms no longer scare him, because he knows, after every dark night, the hidden sun always returns. Not outside, but within. And if you ever find yourself in that same darkness, where life feels heavy, and hope seems far, remember this. The light you're looking for isn't ahead of you. It's inside you, waiting for you to stop running and finally notice it. Let the world be dark for a while. Let it test you. Let it strip away everything false until only your truth remains. That's when you'll see it. The faint glow, the quiet warmth, the reminder that the sun was never gone. It was simply waiting for you to open your eyes. Final words. The hidden sun lives in every man who refuses to surrender to despair. It's the calm in chaos, the strength in softness, the peace in persistence. So, walk through the darkness, not as a victim, but as a seeker. Because the light you find on the other side will be your own limitless mindset for those who walk through the dark and rise quietly.